This first question asks us about functions, okay, a key feature of a function, and it asks if it is decreasing or increasing. Please go ahead and note what is happening. When you read a book, you read left to right. It's going to be the same thing. When I look from the left to the right, what is happening to this line over time? Well, it's going up, meaning it is increasing. Make sure that you are always reading from left to right, and that will help you to determine if it is increasing or decreasing. Now let's go to the next one. The next one asks for the x-intercept. Remember that the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. So look, on our x-axis, this portion right here is where it crosses the x-axis. We call that point -2, 0. Let's continue on. The next question asks for a y-intercept, so this will be similar, but now we need to look at the y-intercept and see where it crosses the y-axis. Take a look. It crosses at the 4. So this is going to be 0, 4. Once again, the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. We can continue on. Does this have a constant rate of change? Well, let's see if the slope is the same. It makes a linear line, okay? It makes a line, it makes a function, so it should be a constant rate of change. And it does, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. It is a constant rate of change. Let's continue to section 2, the intercepts. The x-intercept is when y is equal to 0, and the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. In this first question, it talks about Mrs. Minling preparing for Thanksgiving. She's already spent $50 on decor and will need to spend $5 per person. This equation is t of x is equal to 5x plus 50. What happens if x is equal to 10? This is just a simple substitution problem. So we're going to plug in 10. What is 5 times 10 plus 50? 5 times 10 is $50 plus 50 is $100. Next question asks, what is the x-intercept for a problem? The x-intercept is when y is 0, so we need to substitute 0 in for y. We get 4x plus 2 times 0 is equal to -16. This will cancel, and I get 4x is equal to -16. I can divide both sides by 4 to solve for x, and I get that x is -4. Remember that x is -4 when we plugged in 0 for y. Moving along. The next question asks about Miss Terrell. She's driving to the beach. The first question asks for the y-intercept. Remember that the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So the ordered pair there is 0, 40. On the other hand, the x-intercept is where y is equal to 0. So that ordered pair will read 28, 0. Let's move along to slope. Finding slope on a graph, we need to count from left to right. Remember that we count the rise over the run. Let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to start here, and our next point is here. I need to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. I'm going up 2 and over 1. I can simplify this as a whole number and get 2. It's going up from left to right, so it is going to be positive. Let's continue. This next one is going to be rise over run, but this time we're going down. We're going down. You will notice to get from 1 point, we go down 1 and over 3, down 1, over 3, down 1, over 3, down 1, over 3. That down 1 we represent with a negative number, and then we go over 3. So our fraction is -1/3. What is the rate of change in the table? Once again, the rise over the run, or the change in the y values over the change in the x values. So what is happening here? Well, let's take a look. How do we get from 2 to 4? What happened here? What's my difference here? Well, it's a difference of 2. Okay, same thing, 2 and 2. Those are all a difference of 2. These are all a difference of 5. So my change in y is 2. My change in x is 5. Now let's look at this one. What's my change in y? I'm adding 3 every time. What's my change in x? I'm adding 2 every time. So my rate of change is going to be my change in y over my change in x. I get 3/2. And I need you to leave it like this. You do not need to write it into a mixed number. You need to leave it like this. Next up, we have a couple more slope questions. So remember, we need to do y minus y, and then x minus x. So our change in y, well, the new y is 1, the old y was 4. And the change in x, the old x was -3, and the new next x is -2. Or I'm sorry, is 2. So we're going to subtract them. 1 minus 4 is a -3. -3 minus 2 is a -5. So a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and we get 3/5. The next one, 1 minus 2 and 5 minus 5. Our change in y is 1 minus 2. Those are our two y values, and our change in x is 5 minus 5. 1 minus 2 is a -1, and 5 minus 5 is 0. When 0 is on the bottom, we call that undefined. For this one, we have to do y minus y and x minus x. 1 minus 2 over -2 minus a -4. We have to do our change in y on the top and our change in x on the bottom. 1 minus 2 is a -1. -2 minus a -4 becomes adding. Okay, so we get -1/2. Now let's do our transformations. Whenever we go up or down, we just tack it on to the end. So our new one will simply be g of x is equal to x plus 5. We go up 5, we just add 5 to the end. If we do a reflection, g of x, all we have to do is change the sign of our function. So instead of x, we have -x. That will flip it over. Now let's translate it down. Instead of adding like we did up here, now we're going to subtract. So we have f of x. I'm sorry, we should be calling this g of x. G of x is equal to x minus 2. When we go up or down, we just add it to the end. And this is in contrast to the stretching and the shrinking. When we stretch, we change that slope. We're stretching that rate of change. So g of x will be equal to, we're going to make it 5 times greater. So 5x. Then we're going to shrink that rate of change by a half. And now we have 1/2 of x. These are your transformations. I hope this helps and gives you some clarity in terms of functions and how they work. Let me know if you have any further questions.